Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk with Tammy, brought to you by BKNI Resources. BKNI Resources is the most comprehensive consulting company in working with individual businesses, school, government, and organizations. And for the past 10 years, they have been conducting seminars, workshops, special programs, individual services, and private consulting relating to physical, social, psychological, and the aesthetic aspects of personal appearance and self presentation. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, a little bit about the show. Let's Talk features interesting personalities from all walks of life, sharing bite sized insights into relevant topics. I'm Tammy, your host, a lecturer by profession, a scientist at heart, and Miss Ari Malaysia 2019. And my basis for the show have always been about learning from my guests, and I hope you will too. So let's get started. So I'm going to bring in my guest for the day. Hello, Ruby.
Hello, Tammy. Good evening.
Good evening. So let me do a little bit of an introduction for you first. So
Uh-huh.
Ruby is a corporate person turned entrepreneur, and she's a very fun-going person who has many years of experience in telco, specializing in trade marketing. And she left the corporate world 2 years ago, and currently she's the co-founder of a Malaysian halal personal care brand, which is 100% Malaysian made called Rehla. So her company produced complete halal skincare and body care that fits for all skin types, and the product is made from safe and natural ingredients. And I've spoken to her a couple of times, and it's true that she has high energy levels, with very strong entrepreneurial drive in managing her company and her team. So today's topic, I'm pretty excited to talk about today's topic. So the topic has nothing got to do with whatever introduction that I've given about Ruby. So basically, the topic today is going to be on settling down. So let me just define a little bit what settling down means. Settling down basically the kind of question that you get, which basically implies when are you getting married. So Ruby, before we go into the actual part of the settling down, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and why? I think we would like to give some idea as to why I picked you today to talk about this topic.
I see. Okay. Thank you, Tammy, for having me in your channel today,
My
this
pleasure.
evening. Okay, and okay, I am as what you have actually shared. I'm a corporate person turned entrepreneur. Okay,
Mhm.
and while we are talking about the title of the chat this evening, we this conversation may lead to topics that why a person a person who actually settles down late. So this is what that we are going to discuss and share uh, about me and a little bit about me, but in general, how do we tackle this issue if you have that this kind of problem, not to say problem, this kind of thing that you actually face through. Okay. Yeah.
So
Um,
basically, like what the reason why we're talking about this is because I think two main things we want to discuss about. One is the whole idea that surrounds the whole settling down part. Because for me
mm-hmm,
personally, I feel like it's a very, how to say, as someone who just don't want the marriage to be in any way a hurdle to your life, like you don't want to put a stop in anything in any part of your life just simply because you're getting married. So I feel like
mm-hmm,
the term settling down also has a negative connotation, like
mm-hmm.
you are pausing or you are toning down, everything is
Ah,
down, you're not continuing your life in a certain way. That is
hmm.
one thing, and another thing would be there is no right age. If you do want to settle down, there is no right age. So when you were going through, your late 20s or like mid 20s or early 30s, those ages where society expects you to be settling down already,
Mhm,
how do you
mhm.
navigate that at that point?
Okay, first thing first, I got to tackle my parents. You see,
Mm,
so in most cases where parents are concerned, they will think that they send their children to school, go to colleges, settle down, have kids, go through that kind of cycle of life. Okay, as
yes.
for myself, I have to tell them what is my blueprint.
Mm,
Okay, I will go through the college part and the necessary or the right thing to do, but at the same time I told them I'm very ambitious. Hence, I
Okay.
said I don't think I want to get married before 30,
Mm.
right? It has to be after 30. So if that
Okay.
were to happen. So what I want to do at that time was I wanted to pursue my career.
Mm.
Hence, I put everything to a stop. Yes, I do go out with people, with friends, and things like that. But I was enjoying myself at the same time. I was focusing my life towards building my career because I've got a
Mm.
certain goal in life, in the sense that in my career path, where should I be at what age? So I
Right.
chased after that.
Okay.
Before I know it, I was already past 30, and
Mm-hmm.
I was career was my number one thing. And then, like, of course, people tend to ask me, okay, it's the right age to settle down, or whether it's right or wrong. So I since I've told my parents that means I know what is my blueprint. I think everybody
Okay.
should have their own blueprint to
Mm.
know whether what do they want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so in my case, I sailed through my 30s and got what I want. Then only I realized it's like, oh, okay, I probably have to think about settling down and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time,
Mm-hmm.
it's like either you're seeing someone, you don't see someone, you see.
Right.
So life continues, but I don't dwell too much in my head or in my mind about
Mm-hmm.
my status, you know.
Right.
So I substitute that with traveling with friends, going out with friends, enjoying my life and with
Mm.
my family and things like that. So that's
Okay.
how I passed through that time. Yeah, people will
Mm.
ask, but somehow rather it didn't get to my head in that sense. Probably I don't know, thick skin enough or whatsoever. I just avoid
Okay.
or maneuver my way through it.
Right,
Uh,
right, right. So speaking of friends, you say you travel a lot with your friends and things like
right.
that, right? And then at a certain point, your friends would probably be married and they would
Yeah.
have a totally different issues to deal with, different circumstances. And have you ever at one point felt like, I'm not sure if you were at any point were the only single friend in the clique or anything like that, but were there any points where you had a disconnect with your friend, like you feel like you can't relate to them anymore or you can't spend time with them anymore? And when you go traveling, right, do you go
Mm.
traveling with married friends or single friends?
Okay, in my case, I have a lot of single friends.
Right.
You see, so
Okay.
I in my circle, most of us are single, at that
Okay.
age. So
Mm-hmm.
there are friends who are already married. So the thing is,
Mm-hmm.
the singles don't disturb the married. So
Okay.
once in a while we will go out for tea and listen to their stories. Kids come along. We actually visit them when they give birth, or and things like that, or they cook or whatsoever. The singles will go
Mm.
and eat at their house. So somehow rather, if since I'm in that circle, so I don't feel as much. So
Right.
traveling is either with my sister or with
Mm-hmm.
my other friends. So I have quite a big group of friends. So it's either with person A or B or C or all together. So I
Okay.
don't have that much of a problem there.
Okay, that I guess that would be better. I mean, like, because I think a lot of people, when they happen to be the one, sometimes they can be the only person in their group who are not yet married, and then they slowly start to lose their friends, not
Yeah,
because they don't want to hang out anymore. The circumstances are different. It is so much more difficult, to consolidate everybody to come together at that
right, right,
stipulated
right,
time, right? You have
right,
kids, they have kids to worry about, they have husbands to worry about,
right,
and
right.
the problems or issues or anything, their whole world will start revolving about something that you can't relate to. So if you have something like that, okay, let's say for example a hypothetical situation, how would you have maneuvered that part of your life?
I would say that I will find new friends.
Okay.
I will I will not to say, I mean, like, socialize, like I will make new friends in that sense,
Mm-hmm.
because I have friends who are in that situation. For example, they don't have people to travel with, they travel solo. So when
Right.
they travel solo, they go abroad. I mean, like, I'm sure they have. I mean, like, the package that they book through is the proper one. So from there,
Mm-hmm.
you open your eyes, you meet people, new people. They're okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
So somehow rather, if I'm in that situation, probably
Right.
I will do the same. Meet new friends.
Mm.
Go in. I mean, like, join
Mm-hmm.
some. some activities with other friends and things like that. The only thing that
Mm-hmm.
a person shouldn't do is like sit down and think, it's like, oh, I have not settled down and I don't have any more friends and be miserable, because there are
Mm,
other things to look at, even though you have not met the right partner,
mm. So
right?
when you think about, okay, so I think that's where a lot of women or men who who can't seem to find someone to even date struggle with, to avoid or to not feel miserable about it, because it's not the end of the world.
Right.
They right they but the unfortunately they feel like, because when it comes to our whole life, it's all like a checklist. You finish
Mm-hmm.
your graduation, you get a job, and then once
Yeah.
you get a job, the next big thing is marriage and kids, because apart from that, nothing else is as huge as that. So
Right.
people chase that next list of accomplishments.
Mm-hmm.
So despite you trying to convince yourself that I'm good, you still get reminded again and again that you don't have someone. And also the fact that how our society revolves around partners and family and things like that. So when it comes to those kind of things, how do you think people should start embracing self-love, or being completely comfortable with their own company?
Yeah, that means that takes a lot of I wouldn't say a lot of effort in this side,
Mm,
because your paradigm has to change. So
yeah.
you have to think in that situation, what is best for you, and how do you want to move forward? Because if you keep on listening to other people, you become much more unhappy in that
Mm,
sense.
mm,
So as I said, meet new friends, and then maybe if you want, you change job, you meet new people, that kind of thing. But then having said that, because we know that normally family or friends will try to matchmake,
yeah.
right? So matchmake, you at times when they mention things, a topic like that, you just get annoyed and say, oh, I don't want or whatsoever. But I would advise, we shouldn't say no, because at times things that come to us will be through another person.
Mm,
For
okay.
example, I'll give you, say for example, the Malays always says that, okay, your risky comes from, whatever, through other person. Like for example, you're taking care of your parents, but
Yeah.
somehow or other you're doing well in your job and things like that. So that means you're taking care of them, but their parents' risky comes from you,
Mm,
comes through you. So it's the
right.
same thing. So in this case, and if people want to match make you with, or anyone for that matter, with anyone, they said, okay, just go up and see what that person is. At least you know whether this person is going to be your friend or it could be more.
Okay.
If it didn't work out, so it's okay. You get
Mm,
another friend,
right.
all right? Because your loved one will never stop doing that. I do that to my sister. Okay,
Mm,
so
okay.
so it's quite natural, it's quite normal.
Mm.
Yeah, except
So
unless you go for a kenduri or whatsoever, then suddenly a party, suddenly the aunties and uncles started saying and asking things.
yeah.
But the only thing you ask them, you just tell them to, why don't you pray for me?
Mm, mhm, mhm. Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's one of the issues. Sometimes it's not even the parents. Sometimes the parents are pretty comfortable with how you are, and
Yeah.
and who's willing to let you go through life the way you want it to be. But sometimes they get pressured by extended family members, and
Extended,
they
yeah.
sometimes don't know what to answer them, and because of that, they in turn pressure you.
Yeah. Then probably you have to talk to parents and say that, okay, if anybody were to ask anything like that, just say that it's not time yet. When the time
Mm,
comes, because marriage is about, or having a partner is all about timing. You
exactly.
see? So if the timing is not right, you don't meet. Say for example, a person who settles down late, but
Mm,
the fact that the partner, the person that the person she settled down with, she has known that person when she was in her 20s.
mm,
So when in the 20s, somehow it didn't happen for whatever reason. Hence, you
right.
know that if it happened then, things could have gone very wrong. But if you
Mm,
meet them
mm,
late, for example, then both are more matured, both are
yeah.
more settled down, not so much, not temperamental or whatever. So,
Mm-hmm.
the marriage will be more settled in that sense.
Right.
Right.
Mm, so you were talking about being from a from a Malay family, and will you describe your parents or your family to be very conservative?
My mom is pretty traditional, but when it comes to life partner, they
Mm-hmm.
are very open about this.
Right.
Because in the sense that, say for example, if anyone were to come to ask for a hand of marriage, officially, my parents will not say yes unless the daughter say yes.
Okay.
So she will not like even pressure or whatsoever. So, at times when you have proposal and things like that, so either
Mm-hmm.
you want to give it a try or you don't
Mm-hmm.
want that kind of thing. If you don't know that person, then all the more reason you don't want, right? So
Mm-hmm.
my parents are not like that, even though they are a bit traditional in that sense, in other
Okay.
sense. Uh,
Okay. So in when you're talking about in pursuit of partners, okay, forget about settling down. Settling down may happen later in life, but
right.
sometimes people tend to expect you to see you to to see you with a partner. So
Right.
throughout your life, like throughout your youth, like early 30s and everything, were you constantly seeing somebody? Were you in a stable relationship, or were you full on single, enjoying life?
When I was in my 20s, yes, I
Mm-hmm.
was in a few, not a few, I mean like really in relationship, but somehow it didn't work out. When
Mm-hmm.
it didn't work out, so I just leave it at that. There's times that there's a lapse that I wasn't seeing anyone I was pursuing, or even if I'm seeing someone, then suddenly work come first. So if I can drop the person, that kind of thing.
Right.
So it's just like
Mm-mm-mm.
I really know at that time what I was pursuing. So rather than get people upset with me or whatever, so I rather not
Yeah.
having anyone, so I just pursue my career.
Mm-mm-mm. That drive is amazing, though. For you to be so focused on your career, and you feel like, what, I'm willing to drop everything
Yeah,
to pursue what you really wanted.
yeah.
So that whole blueprint thing that you were talking about earlier, were you always like that, where you always had goals? Okay, this is the things I need to do. These are the things I need to achieve. Has it always been like that?
Not really. Of course, along the way, things may come in and disturb my mind or disturb my routine. But somehow
Mm,
rather, I always think that okay, if I were to choose a relationship or to settle down early, what would
mhm.
happen?
Okay.
Because when it comes to relationship and you have to invest a lot in the sense emotionally invest, you have to invest emotionally, your time, your attention and things like that, because especially when you officially settle down, you are not only
Mm-hmm.
taking care of your partner, you have their family,
Yes,
siblings and things like
correct.
that, family matters counts, and then like your side and his side, or you got to juggle all these things. So if you fe-
Mm,
I if at that time if I feel that I cannot handle that, so I might as well not do it. If I can handle,
mm.
then probably I would have settled down earlier in that sense. Right.
Okay. So you were very clear about, what will happen is more about, I think it's a very important thing to talk about, because I feel like a lot of people get pressured, and sometimes they settle down when they're not ready, and that is the
Yeah.
problem, and that is like the
Yeah.
core
Right.
issue.
Right.
Sometimes a lot of marriages didn't
Right.
work
It
out
didn't
because
work out. Yeah.
yeah, they settle down at the wrong time simply because they're expected
Right.
to do it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So they,
So I
they
think
want
it's
to they have to follow the flow in that sense, but that is very dangerous because in a relationship, a feeling should come from the heart, not because of you're being pressured.
mm,
Regardless of whether you meet the person you are in your 20s or 30s or 40s for that matter, if you are
mm-hmm,
attracted to that person, the feeling will come back. Even in your 40s, you still have that kind of if you like the person, the feeling of excitement, the spark especially, will still be
mm-hmm,
there. But it will
mm,
not be as when you are 20s, of course. You're more mature, you're more level-headed, you're
mm,
more control of everything. So things will be slightly different. So
mm.
the feelings is still
I'm
the same.
I think, yeah, that's another thing they need to remember, because you don't need to rush these things simply because people are expecting you to do it.
Right, right. And another thing, you know, you go into a relationship, what do you see normally? You see the good things or you see the flaws? By right, you
Yeah.
should be looking at the negative part of that person, because don't try to change the partner or the
Mm-mm.
person that you're seeing, because once you try to change, when things didn't happen, you get upset. So go with the flow. But if you
Mm.
look at the flaws and the negative of that person, if you can live with it,
Mm.
then it will be okay. If
Right.
you cannot live with it, then you've got to find an option. So if
Mm-mm.
it's like the good part, you know, it's really good.
Right.
Right. So the bad habit same goes with the other partner. So vice versa. You got both of you. You should see each other you know, find the things that you may not like everything, but and ask yourself whether can you live with it.
Mm.
And certainly do not go into marriage thinking that you can change the other party.
Right. Right. Yeah, I
Right.
think that's also very important because sometimes what they do is when they date, they have this idealized version of this person,
The
and they
storybook
expect.
thing, right?
Yes, yes. So and then they expect this person, this partner to be that idealized version, not realizing that this person is another human being as well, and they'll have their
Right.
flaws as well.
Exactly. So we shouldn't. So in the sense that you have to accept the person as it is. The person may not change.
Yeah.
May not happen. So
Mm.
you have to live with it. So somehow rather don't go into a relationship thinking that you can change, or you're trying to save that person for whatever reason, or you
Oh
know, that
yes.
kind of
Mm.
things. Right? So if you try to do that, you'll get disappointed, then problems start to arise.
Mm.
Right.
Are you telling all this, Ruby, from personal experience or basically from what you have seen?
It's mostly of what I have seen in that sense.
Mm.
Because a bit here and there, which I could relate. Maybe my husband is somebody that is easygoing as me. I look for someone who's like me, probably,
Right.
and so happen God sent the person to me, and we match in that sense. But of course, in the
Mm.
sense that there are other things that we don't match, but somehow or other, just live with it and enjoy the bump. That when there's time that, of course, a marriage will go into a bit of bump here and there, but
Mm.
you know what you want, you know how the person is, so I think
Mhm.
it is fine.
Uh, you were talking about because I'm just very taken by how you were saying that you were so focused on your career and you knew what you wanted and you were fine with letting go of other things in pursuit of your
Mm-mm,
climb
mm-mm.
in the corporate world. So when you were doing that, did anyone at all try to put you down by saying this is not a nice look for a woman, or you're too intimidating if you're going to be like this, too career oriented, you're not going to be very attractive to men. Has there ever been
Yeah,
people like that? Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Actually, people have said that you have a strong character
Mm,
in that sense.
mm,
So, if people were to see you, people will know that you have strong character. So I may not be the meek and mild kind of a lady. Someone that to say the perfect character, a wife character. I may
right.
not possess that. But then if some people will look at it in a different way, because I'm independent, I do things on my own, and I can handle things here and there. But then again, when you have a partner, try to tone down a little bit, and let the man handle. There are things that he also would want to show that he is wanted and he's
Mm,
needed
mm, mm,
by
mm,
a person like me, for example.
mm, right.
So it works well if that were to happen. The only thing that at times we tend to forget, but when you forget, I just pull back and say like, okay, I can rely on another person.
I think that comes with, when you're too independent and you've been single for a long time where you're very, very self-sufficient, it is very
Right,
difficult to take a step back and let someone do things for
right,
you.
correct. Especially when things that you need to do immediately, is either you stand up, you stood up without realizing, and then suddenly like, oops, okay,
Mm,
let the person handle. So then
mm,
you know. And or for example, at the when you're having dinner or whatsoever, you let other people handle. I learn
Mm,
not to handle things spontaneously.
right. I
Yeah.
think another point that I wanted to share, wanted to talk about was the fact that you were saying that how you um, staying single for so long is too, you get too self-sufficient. That is one. And why do you personally think settling down means the end?
No, 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 definitely not the end. But because settling down means you have to talk to the partner, what is your expectation? What are the
Mm,
things that you still need to do? You still have your
mm,
own space. You still can meet your own friends. Even if you have kids at a later age, for example, you can just have your me day or me time. You
mm,
can either, if the husband is okay enough, so in the sense that you can leave the kids with him.
mm,
Otherwise, you just take the kids and go out. Still, it is still okay. So long as you're not to say you come back at the right time, but the fact that he understand you to give you me time,
space. Mm,
your space, right? So
right.
this has to be discussed. This
Mm,
has to be discussed in the sense that okay, you will do your wifely duties and things like that.
mm,
But somehow rather, if you need space, he still allow. I mean, like it's vice versa. You can, I mean, like he can go out with his friends and
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
come back late or whatsoever. But and then you
Yeah.
must have mutual trust for that matter.
Mm.
Trust is very
Okay.
important.
Yeah, trust is very
Yeah,
important.
that's another thing. So like, don't go in. The husband comes back late whatsoever. Don't go and chase. Okay. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, before I go on to the next question, just a reminder to our viewers out there, if you do have any questions for Ruby or any comments at all, you can leave them in the comments, and I can show it to Ruby for her to answer your questions. So my next question is, right, um, I mean, you kind of settled down late, right? Do you think there are pluses to it in terms of on how much more mature you are, or how do your expectations of a life partner change at every
Um.
decade, like in your 20s,
Uh.
in your 30s, in your 40s? Did it evolve?
There is no expectation actually, because
Mm-hmm.
I know very well that when a person settle when they are young, so everything could be spontaneous. Everything could be, the hormones still uh, very active in the sense that people, you can spark can just easily happen or and
Mm,
things like that. But if you settle down late, roughly you will know that the person or I myself will be toned down a little bit. I
mm-hmm.
can take a step back and think, that kind of thing. So in situation where you need to meet in between, so that counts, because you will not be like when you are in the 20s, in your 20s or early 30s for that matter. Then a lot of things can happen in that sense, because
Mm,
especially when work pressure is one thing, family pressure, when it combines with work pressure, kids
mm-hmm.
come into the picture, and those could influence a lot of the life of that person.
Mm, mm.
So I
Okay.
guess every individual, as I said earlier, we have our own blueprint. If the
Mm,
person who actually okay to go through all the process and settle down early, by all means.
mm.
But those who actually pursuing their career, um, so go with the flow and believe in timing.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I think
When
it's
it,
not only about, yes, sometimes they say it out loud that, I believe in timing, but they do still feel a bit, they can't help but to feel a bit left out, or they
yeah,
feel like. So I think that's the one thing people need to start working on when it comes to being able to enjoy your own company and being able to live a fulfilled life regardless of that partner is in the equation or not. And
right.
that's a lot of people. That part is what I feel a lot of people are struggling, and they end up getting into more issues, more problems when
Yeah,
they
but
settle for someone.
if the person who's in that situation, maybe they should pick up some activities, things that they've
Mm,
never done before. Like,
Mm.
there's a lot of activities which is like going on now. And then they can meet new
Go
friends.
on a journey of self-discovery.
Yeah, exactly. So let's not go into that mode of self pity, or you don't fit in among the married friends and things like that. But you look at it, because married friend normally when they have kids and things like that, life at times are not to say difficult, but there's a lot of things to juggle between children, house,
Mm.
parent-in-law, parents, and things like that. So that's
Mm.
why I always admire people who settle down early, and they manage. But then again, just like our parents who settled down early at that time, they still manage to have kids and take care of all of us. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. The only thing probably now we think too much. Those is try
Yeah.
to rationalize everything too
Correct.
much. So
Correct.
just go with the flow and enjoy whatever you have, because I'm sure the other party or your friends will think that being single, they was like, oh,
Is a better, I think it's
yeah.
always the grass is greener on the other side
Exactly,
situation.
exactly. Because
Yeah.
have you heard of the saying that when you are not on the bus, you want to get onto the bus, into the bus. But if once you are on the bus, you want to get out of the bus.
Correct.
Because
Correct.
the bus is full. But somehow, in marriage, or relationship, you have to invest a lot, and
Mm.
you got to be very patient with a lot of things. But
Mm.
actually, it is of course it is nice to have a partner to go back to in the evening. But if you don't have yet now, it doesn't matter. As I said, it's all about timing. It will come.
Mm. Mm. Just a random question. Because okay, can I know your thought process as to why you decide to, you know, uh, you worked so hard to climb
Uh,
the corporate ladder, and then you
because
decide to let go of it.
I come from not a well-to-do family. So in order to change our life,
Mm.
there is nothing to inherit or whatsoever, just like a lot of people.
Yeah.
So either education or through career. So I
Can
wanted to
relate.
change
Mm-hmm.
that. Yes, I wanted to change all that, and then
Mm-hmm.
wanted to give a better life to my parents. So
Mm.
everything, my parents are priority. They
Right.
I always put them first. So
Mm.
for that matter, so I didn't want their life to be disrupted. Hence, certain thing in my life I put on hold,
Mm.
because and then if that you have to at times I'll think that what if I were to bring back someone, the
Mm.
person just like my parents or cannot get along with my parents and things like that. So if thinking about that alone, I feel like, oh no, okay, not time yet, not time yet. So I give my fullest to my parents in the sense that give them what they want, take them traveling,
Mm.
uh pamper them here and there, that kind of thing. So until then only I realize, then I know that okay, I've given them so much, then probably then I'll start to think about myself.
Mm.
So
Mm. Mm.
probably that was the reason why. I don't know how many people out there are like me, but
Right.
I'm sure there are people who can relate to this, especially when
Yes.
you don't come from a
Mm.
well-to-do
Are
family.
you the eldest, Ruby?
No, I'm not. I have elder
Okay.
sisters, and
Right.
I'm the third of four girls.
Mm. Okay.
Uh, so
So
that
so you feel like, okay, once you have achieved a certain point in your life, you realize, okay, now I think I can unwind and do what I'm really passionate about. Is that why you decide to do entrepreneurship?
yeah, because I it's time for me to leave the corporate world. It's either
Mm-hmm.
I go back to another company or whatever. So after much thinking, I realized that okay, this is I want to try something different.
Mm.
Actually, it's a very daring decision that I made in
Yeah, it
life.
is.
Right, I jumped from a corporate person to become an entrepreneur. So there's a lot. I am in a learning process, because look at this company that we have set up. Actually, is about a couple of years old.
Mm-hmm.
Setting up 1 year, formulating whatever it is that we are doing and all that, perfecting the formula before we come up with the product. It takes about 9 months to 1 year. So by the time our product came out and things like that, pandemic hit. So this is actually something I have never experienced before, and I have to learn just like a young executive those days when I started.
Mm.
And it's I started all over again. Things that there's a lot of things that I don't know. But having said that, I network a lot, so I
Okay.
learn a lot from fellow entrepreneurs.
Mm.
And there are a lot of people out there who are willing to teach or willing to share. And you realize I realized that one thing may lead to another. You have
Mm.
one business, then suddenly you realize that there's opportunity on something else. And
Okay.
that keeps coming. Then suddenly you
Mm.
realize that I should have left the company a long time ago. Even
Okay.
though, it's not easy to be an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, but there's always
Mm-hmm.
learning. Because there's a lot of course, I mean, there's anxiety too. There are days that you couldn't sleep,
Mm.
couldn't think, or you just your head just couldn't. You hit a point where you don't know what to do. But once you have friends among the entrepreneur, then you realize that, oh, actually it's not so bad. There are
Right.
other people who are in the same boat, so you learn from people's mistake,
Mm.
and apply to whatever it is in my own business.
Why skincare specifically?
Oh, okay. While we were looking for what we are supposed to do and all that, so we realized that I since I travel a lot, and normally me and my partner, we normally when we travel, I mean, like, of course she travels with her family, I travel with my friends. I normally we want to travel, we will choose what are the skincare that we want to bring. So it's either you
Right.
go to the pharmacist, drugstore, or you go to the cosmetic counter. So I choose and pick whatever I want. So when it comes to that, I'm very picky when it comes to skincare. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking for. I normally look for something natural, no harsh chemical, and safe to put on the skin. So because of that, then we discuss, we brainstorm, we ask around and all that. So there are market that is like that. So it means there are people who are like me who wants to use or put on no a natural skincare or body care on their skin, because
Mm-mm.
from studies it shows that do you know that how many product we put on our face from top to toe every day? It's about 1,200 over chemicals we put
Mm.
on our face, or and from started from shampoo to everything.
Mm.
So let's cut the story short. We just formulate something which is safe for people, and at least we give back some good benefits for people who are in this category, or people with
Mm.
sensitive skin will be, that this product of ours will be much suitable. So
Right.
that's how it started.
Okay.
Uh,
So when I was just thinking about your thought process, would you have, so how did the whole thing came about of you finally settling down? Were you still in corporate at that time, or
yeah,
you were still in corporate at that
I was
time?
still in corporate, and then, like, when the time comes, I was seeing somebody, and then,
Mm-hmm.
like, we suddenly discussed, like, and say, hey, you know, we have mutual feelings,
Mm-hmm.
and decided to settle down. I mean, like, we shock quite a lot of people, especially families. And then, like, the only thing they didn't say is like, oh, high time for you to settle
Okay.
down. No, they didn't say that. They said
Okay.
the only thing they said was like, huh, you settle down, you know, that kind of that. They
Okay,
were
I think
surprised.
the reaction came about, like, they at that point they weren't even expecting that you were
Correct,
ever going to do
correct.
it.
Correct. So when it happened, um, everyone was shocked. I mean, like my side, my friends, because some, those who get invitation because it's like combined dinner,
Mm-hmm.
so not many people. But somehow rather, if I were to invite a lot of people, so I'm sure a lot of people will come in that sense. Because same thing goes with my husband.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he shocked his friends too. So somehow rather, then they just said, friends will say that, wow, I give a lot of hope to a lot of people who are in my, like, in my position, that
Mm-hmm.
actually you can meet someone at a later age and can still
Mm.
settle down or find a partner even at a later age when the timing is right. So
Right,
always
right.
I believe whatever faith you are, believe in God, believe in timing, believe
Mm.
in, things will happen if it's meant to happen.
Right. I think that's a very beautiful things to say. But one thing about this whole issue is, sometimes they say you when you marry, you're marrying the village or something like that. That's a similar saying to that because it involves the society when it comes
Yeah,
to marriage and settling
yeah.
down, because you have the partner's family involved and the whole society will be kind of informed of this union, right? So everyone decides and feels like it's a problem, it's their problem, right?
Ah,
Right. And especially when your loved ones, what happens is the your loved ones actually, no matter what you have accomplished in life, no matter how much you have done
mm,
professionally,
mm,
they
mm,
still see you as someone unfinished simply because you're not married.
mm.
So what
Normally,
would you want to say about that?
I would say that they care. I mean, like
Yeah.
among be it friends or family or parents and things like that, they care because they want to. Like what you said just now, it's like something is unfinished. You have not complete your life, right? To a certain extent, but the fact
Mm,
that if the person is happy to stay single, I think the society should respect
yes. Okay.
the person at least because some are by choice.
Mm,
They just don't want to settle down. They just want to be they're happy as they are. So do
exactly.
not disrupt their journey.
Mm,
And don't be judgmental of that person.
mm,
Why and how, why it didn't happen and things like that. Just
mm,
respect. Because you never know. There are people who actually stay single for many, many, many years and then you reach a certain age, like even in their 60s. I've seen people who settle down at their age.
yeah.
So it's okay. Most important is respect the other party. I mean, like don't make funny remarks in front or some unpleasant remark when there's single people a person in that particular group or whatsoever.
Mm, mm, mm.
That would make the person who don't want to come and join the gathering, future gathering or whatsoever, right?
Correct. And that I think that helps. I mean, that actually further increases that whole sense of isolation
Right,
because
right.
you start seeing that there's lesser and lesser things that you can relate to your married friends or with family or society, and they start seeing you as someone like an anomaly,
Yeah.
and you feel, oh, okay, I think I'm just not going to go out now to see people because now I dread the questions that they're going to ask me. You
Ah.
know.
It's just that even you shouldn't I mean like after a while you should let go of this feeling in the
Mm,
sense that should this kind of feeling shouldn't bother you anymore. Like,
right.
because if you have asked too many times, that kind of questions, so you
Mm-hmm.
just feel like, okay, yeah, right. Whatever goes into one ear, come out with another ear. So,
Mm-hmm.
or the most is, as I said, like what I said just now, pray for me, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah,
So at least,
that's in a very how to say, it's a very optimistic and a very upbeat way,
right.
and the person who seems to be caring for you so much would feel useful as well. Oh, she's asking me to pray for her.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Pray for me because it's like, but only thing that they may meddle in the sense that they want to matchmake you with somebody and things like that. But having said
Mm,
that, as I said, don't say no. Just
mm,
just just go out as friends or whoever it is they want to matchmake. If you don't like the person, no, there's no chemistry. Just okay, the person may stay as a friend,
right.
right? So because maybe through friends and friends who you may bump into the right one,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
Hmm. So
I
enjoy the journey of being
mm,
single while you can, because once the person is married, so you are marrying the entire family and everything.
mm,
So
mhm,
things may change. You have to accommodate everything.
mm.
Right?
As someone who has been, I think at this point of your life, you probably would have lived as a single person longer than as a married person, I would say. Am I right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Definitely.
Okay, so so how would you describe this new life? Would you feel like it is you can handle it, or you feel like you know
Um. I was ready for
I think that's
whatever.
the key word,
Yeah, I was
ready.
ready in the sense that okay, when I say yes to the marriage, I said to myself like, okay, I'm ready. I have
Mm,
seen my partner before this. I know his positive and his negative, so I know what I'm getting into because I go in this marriage with my eyes open.
Mm.
and go with the flow. Don't expect too much. Same thing, vice versa. He will not expect, shouldn't expect too much from me, but we will try to fit in uh, whichever we can, the best that we
Mm.
can. But
Mm.
only thing, of course, you tend to argue a bit here and there. But if you argue a bit here and there, try to settle the issue on the
Mm-hmm.
same day. Do not drag and keep for 1 week and then suddenly you explode somewhere else, and then
Right.
it will be a problem. Try like what we're doing is like we try our best to settle everything, and so that okay, at
Communication.
least yeah, when you sleep at night also you can sleep very well.
Mm.
Right, things that you are not to say not happy, you just share, open up, but in a
Mm.
in a in a different tone and manner. So
Right.
you have to respect the other party.
Mm. Mm. So do you think like when you started dating at that point, when you started,
Mm,
were
mm.
you already, did you realize that you were ready for marriage after you have met the person, or were you going into the dating scene thinking, you know what, when I meet the right person, I'm going to marry this person now? Because, for the past 10 years, you have been saying, like, no, if anyone is coming and, it's going to ruin my career trajectory, I'm going to say no, right? So did you have like a mind shift?
Um, Actually, I didn't know what to expect when I
Mm,
start dating my husband. I
mm-hmm,
didn't know what to expect. I go into the relationship.
mm-hmm,
Probably like both of us has got the same thinking. We were like watching each other and then see
mm,
the compatibility, how compatible we are.
right.
So after a while, then you realize that, oh, okay, this person is like this, and then the feeling change.
Mm,
You get more comfortable. The things that you can talk or discuss, and there's at times you joke or whatsoever. So along the way, somehow rather deep down that this is the right person. So
okay.
emotion change from someone who's indifferent, and
Indifferent.
indifferent you change, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the feelings change, and then suddenly we realize that, oh, okay, you know um, we should uh, complete this journey by being each other partner officially.
Mm.
Right.
For me, I feel like the one part that you mentioned, where you were just watching each other to see, is this person going to be compatible with me? Do you think that mindset of, really trying to figure out that person and see how compatible that person is comes with age? Because I feel
Yes,
like you said, right, it
yes,
comes with
yes,
age to be
yes.
much more mature, and the way you view the person is not straight away about dating, especially these
Right,
days where dating is super quick,
right.
right? And in the advent of dating apps, you move on to the next person very quickly. So that comes with age, right? When you want
Yes,
to
yes,
actually, you're going to, you're figuring that person out and see if they're
yeah,
compatible with you.
yeah. That's most important, in the sense that you see whether you're that person, and you are comfortable with that person.
Mm,
As I said, you have to watch out for the good and the bad, and whether they can live with flaws or not. And
mm,
you know that certain things that you can compromise, you just compromise. Certain things that you can let go, you just let go. Like
mm,
when you're in your 20s, you want your own way. Probably he also wants his own way. So in the end, things don't get worked out, right? So when you are older, you're more matured, you don't get upset easily, you don't get angry easily. Of course, everybody has temper,
mm,
but it's much more toned down.
mm-hmm.
And you have, instead of saying something, you just hold back and see, you evaluate first before you say that. Of
Right.
course, in ideal cases, I mean, there are not all the time we are like that. You can be quick, also with words, but most of the time we try to accommodate, right?
Mm,
So even like we were saying that during that time when I was earlier wanted to when I was pursuing my career and all that. Yeah, at that time, I think, I'm sure, like me, everybody else still um see, like, go out with someone along the way. But uh if when you hesitate in a relationship, then you know that this person, you still have doubt.
right.
Yeah, when you don't
Okay.
hesitate, that's when, oh, you know that's the right person.
Okay, can you elaborate on that further? Like, what do you mean by hesitate?
Because, say for example, a person is in a relationship for a long time. Why is it the person did not seal the relationship? Because,
Mm,
there are times the person may, a person may hesitate whether to go ahead or not to go ahead. There may be something in that relationship, or deep down only the couple knows.
mm,
So, when you hesitate, then you have to evaluate again. You don't want to go
right.
into the marriage quick, or and get out also quick, because at least we respect the marriage institution. Unless you really really cannot, then you know have to find each other's way in a different way.
Mm, mm, mm.
Mm.
And I think as a, how to say, as a conclusion, or if you would like to give an advice to anybody who is out there who feels, I wouldn't want to say inadequate, but they feel like they are missing out, or they feel like something is wrong, and to get some sort of a courage, if you could give them a bit of assurance that this is not the end of the world, how would you tell
I
them?
I would I would say, go with the flow. Ask yourself what you want. Find happiness, because in every person there's always something special about the person. Do not feel that you're an inadequate, or you feel that you are alone, you're left behind. You couldn't you are in that, in that mode, in that situation where you feel that, I'm the, not to say leftovers, like, I'm the tertinggal, like, everybody has pursued their life and things like that. Do not feel that way, because life, there's a lot of things in life that you could do. Find your happiness, find your ikigai, right? And be happy.
Mm,
Find new friends, go new, check out new places, new activities, new hobbies. Go to the bookstore and read. If you There's a lot of bookstore, go to Kinokuniya or whatsoever,
yeah.
get
Mm,
yourself lost in the among the books and all that. So always feel that you are a special person. Do
mm,
not feel bad or feel sad because you have not met the right partner yet. Give
mm,
time to yourself.
mm. That's a very nice way to put it, because I feel like a lot of people struggle with that, and as much as they try to convince themselves that they are
Mm,
great, they are perfect,
mm,
there will be instances, certain days, maybe certain down days, maybe where they
mm,
feel like,
mm, mm,
oh, what is going on, what is wrong, and things like that.
mm.
So for this kind of people, I think the most important thing is to, I guess, to reevaluate what
Right,
what life really means to them.
right,
And a lot of things can be under your control. I think that should be your
right.
priority, because when it comes to partners and finding partners, it's not completely in your hands. So it's
Yeah,
very
correct.
difficult to decide a deadline. It's
Yeah,
very difficult
yeah,
to decide, okay, this is the date, this is
yeah.
the year I'm finally going to get married, or things like that.
Things may not happen when when you plan that
Exactly.
way. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. So, instead of being upset, not happy and things like that, look at us as women. You know, we have to make bring back the self esteem.
Mm,
Dress well. You know, make I mean, like, dress well and make sure that you look good, feel good, appreciate yourself, and buy clothes, go shopping and things like that. So somehow rather, even in the office, then you feel, once you're wearing something new, or you put on a nice makeup, you go to the office, walk confidently, and you feel good, then somehow rather the feeling inside will automatically change.
mm. I
Right.
don't, and I personally, I also don't think that if you are already feeling down simply because you don't have a partner, I don't think that would be the right time for you to get a partner anyway.
Yeah, no. Do not
Yeah,
go into a marriage with your eyes open. Do not
right.
get influenced by, just whoever that passes by, and Not to say whoever passes by. I mean, like whoever introduce you to someone or you bump into someone, and if the party likes you, you even you don't like that person, you enter into that marriage. If things work out, it work out. If it doesn't work out, then you will think that I shouldn't have got into this relationship.
Mm.
So always think that like love yourself more and make sure that whatever you do, if we don't know whether it's right or wrong anyway, if you enter a
Yeah.
marriage also,
It is a
uh,
gamble anyway.
it's a gamble. It's a gamble, but pray for the best. Pray
Yeah.
for the best. Pray God send you someone who is compatible and someone that you can get along with, and at least we can grow old together.
Yeah. And I think for that you need to know yourself really well
Yeah, yeah. But then,
in order
but
for
then
you to
again,
see if that person is compatible with you.
so long as I mean, like I wouldn't say 100% compatible. You see,
Mm-mm.
so if the person is like 70% compatible, 30% is still acceptable. You work on the 70 or work on the 30%. The and
Mm.
but the 70% is definitely happy. Even 60-40 for that matter, so long it's above 50%. Lah. I think.
Would that mean that you're settling though? If you are, you know, yeah, I think that is a very good question. Would you say that you have settled?
I mean, like if you ask me, I have complete the cycle and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But there are things that I'm still learning from my partner, or
Right.
he is still learning from me. So
Mm.
that you at times expect the unexpected. Something like, I've not seen this part of him, or he
Yeah.
may say the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you try to work out, because you're already married and things like that. But somehow or other, the relationship is different compared to while you're dating, you don't go to the same house. Whereas
Right.
you are married, you come back to the same house, and
Mm.
then you see the person from like you see in the morning, and then you go off to work, and then you come back in the evening, you're with that person. So
Yeah.
when you see things are different, a bit different, so you just live with it and go with the flow.
Okay. Remember just now, I wanted to pick on that. Remember just now when you were explaining how, as you get older, you tend to feel like you might be the leftovers and
Ah,
things like that, right? And then sometimes they feel like because, age has passed them by and, they feel like they're leftovers. So they shouldn't be picky. They shouldn't be too choosy. So what do you think about that? Do you think they should, be give away their principles and let go of or whatever they thought they should have as a partner simply because they think, oh, there's not going to be many choices now that I'm older. There isn't much in the pool anymore.
you can get in that situation, but ask your heart
Mm,
whether this is what you want, or
mm,
this is not because of society pressure.
right.
Because once you get into society pressure and you get into something which is not something that you want, it's just a matter of, like, what if you wake up from the wrong side of the bed and you look at that person, you realize that he is not the one or she is not the one. Then you're
Mm,
in big trouble in that sense, because you already
okay.
enter marriage. You see,
You're
do
right.
not gamble your life or your happiness that way.
Mm.
It's okay to stay single if it's
Because
you're not
sometimes
meant.
that's the kind of advice you get. They'll be like, oh, you're getting older, you shouldn't be too picky. You should try to settle down with somebody. And I think that whole idea is flawed because the priority there is not about finding someone compatible, but the priority there is as long as you get settled down, you're good.
Yeah. What if it didn't work out? Is it better
Exactly.
to become, someone who has, a divorcee, or than being not married? Is that better?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
you have to ask yourself for that matter.
Mm,
But then again, this is also very subjective. There are people who think
exactly.
that way. There are people who think differently. As for
Mm,
me, I would say that at least, I know where I stand, and
mm,
we will try to make this marriage work, and then enjoy the the marriage life at a later age, and let's grow old together.
mm, mm. I think that's a very nice way to put it.
So, whoever out there, do not be too upset if things has not happened yet.
Mm.
Just go with the flow. There's a lot of things to do out there.
Not the
Find
end of the world.
yeah, it's not the end of the world. For God's sake, travel at least. Even like if it's not abroad, locally and things like that, go. There's a
Yeah.
lot of places to visit. Go park yourself at some island and lepak for weeks if you need to. Right.
Mm. Thank you so much, Ruby. We have been speaking for like an hour now. I think your alarm is
Yeah.
ringing to remind you, is it?
No, my alarm is reminding me of something that I'm supposed to go. Not to say online, to check out online. There's something, some baju brand launching tonight.
Oh, okay, okay. But yeah, it was amazing talking to you. I mean, I think I learned a lot, and I feel like a lot of people would relate because I think to put it in a very crass way, if it's one thing to find someone uh, who is a bit at a later age, and then just two women talking, and they're both single, and they're like, oh, it's okay if it's not if you're not settling down. Some people might put it at or they're just finding excuses and they're trying to convince themselves that they're happy. But I'm glad that we could talk in a way that hey, look at me. I didn't even care about settling down. I cared more about my own life and trying to be better and try to climb my career pathway. And and I went with the flow. And when the timing is right, the right things happened. And
Yeah,
I think that would be a great example for a lot of women out there who probably are still lost about this. Who probably still feel a little bit incomplete.
yeah.
Yeah, so that would be a great way for them to understand that it's not it's
Right,
great. Yeah.
right. Find more friends, mix with more people, and
Yeah,
you don't know what you can learn from even girlfriends. New people that you meet. There's a lot of
correct.
people out there.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm.
Thank you so much, Ruby, for
You are welcome.
sharing your insights with us.
Thank you for inviting me. I mean, like this is really an hour.
Yeah,
We
it
didn't
is.
realize that we've been talking for an hour over the
Yeah.
subject.
Yeah. So I'm glad. I mean, usually when you don't realize, that means you had fun. I hope you had fun.
Yeah, I did actually. Okay.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you. Good
Thank you.
night.
Night.
Okay. Thank you guys for listening in. I hope you had you learned from the insights given by Ruby. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and on the BK Nair channel, you will find all the previous episodes online as well. And I will see you guys in 2 weeks. Good night and have a good weekend.